And when you build in your waterways for when it floods, you need to make sure it's wide enough for how much potential rain is going to rain. And the wider it is what's needed. Then you're going to have the speed of the water. So then you need to figure out if it needs to be deeper or not deeper, but definitely needs to be wider, because that's how much water can actually travel on that waterway. So the deeper would be how much water would actually be, but then that it could actually be, but depending on how much water is actually running off into that waterway, which would be coming from everything else. That's not flooding, obviously. So you would have the depth and the width of how much water, and then the speed of that would have to be stabilized. And then you should also have, if the water rises too much, you should have another sub level that it could run off into to lessen the pressure and the water that is rising. You'd have like another sub level that the main, where the water is running off, would run off into a sub, but not as fast. See, the main would be running, but you'd have a sub that just kind of gets some other water, but keeps that separate from flooding also. And what you need is to make your mountains like steps, that run off into the waterway where it's flooding, where it's made for the water to run off to where it's flooding. The mountains should be made like steps, so that way you're not going to get a mudslide or something like that. It's going to evenly run off into the water flood channels that you have constructed for the water to run off into. But then that's why you have to calculate how much water is actually going to run off into those flood channels and how deep or wide that needs to be, and the speed of that water traveling in those flood channels. And if it does rise, the water does rise too much, you need a separate to lessen that water, but to also keep that from flooding off and destroying the land and stuff like that, and houses, but engineering it and figuring it out though, and yeah, but those are some things that need to be done.